It's your tour guide around the SWAC Wells.
Wednesday and Sunday out when you can take the tour.
Hop on now, we starting out. Texas land the panther shout. Tigers roar and deserts drought. What's that whisper? Ain't no doubt. Next to Boot got Jacks to see. More tigers prowling, making others flee. Arkansas, a quick short spree. Golden Lions, they run free.
Hop on the tour bus and let's go. Wednesday and Sunday out when you can take the tour.
We love the sip, so we raising cheers. Delta doubles fueling fears. Braves and Tigers through the years. Echo loud in crowded spheres. Swing through Bama, hear them call. Hornets buzzing, stand up tall. Bulldogs barking in the hall. Feel the rhythm break or fall. Sunshine State, we ending last. Rattlers creeping, moving fast. Join the chorus, make it blast. Wildcats past and future, hold it fast. SWAC stories on the stage. Every chapter turning page.
All right, everybody, what's going on, man? How y'all doing? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I am your tour guide around the SWAC Wells coming at you, and we are going to do our final look at the standings. We have everybody has one game left on Saturday. So we pretty much know who's in, and we pretty much know who's where. So there's not a lot of movement to be had. There's quite a few spots have been locked up. So we don't really have to worry too much about movement, and we can just kind of look at where we stand in these final games before we start the tournament next week. So just gonna take a look at it. Not gonna be as long as we normally have been, and definitely not gonna have to dive as deep. So just be a quick look at this, and then we're gonna be on up and out. So with that being said, man, y'all hit those socials: Facebook is SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76, Instagram SWAC Talk. Also, don't forget to like the video, comment, and share your thoughts on the races. Who can get where and who can't. So with that being said, man, we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. First thing first, we're gonna look at the standings for the women's side. First off, Southern clinched the regular season outright last night with a victory over Alabama State, and Alabama A&M losing to Grambling. So Southern is 15-2, 17-13. They're on an 8-game winning streak. Alabama A&M is 13-4, 20-9. They lost one game. Jackson State 13-4, 15-13. They won 2 in a row. Texas Southern 13-4, 14-14. They've lost 2 in a row. Grambling 11-6, 14-14. They won 3 games in a row. Alcorn 9-8, 11-17 overall. They've lost 1. Prairie View 6-11, 9-17 overall. They've lost 1. Florida A&M 6-11, 9-19 overall. They've lost 2. Bethune-Cookman 6-11, 9-20 overall. They've lost 3 in a row. Valley 5-12, 6-22 overall. They won 2 games in a row. Bama State 4-13, 6-23 overall. They've lost 4 in a row. And Pine Bluff is 1-16 with a 3-24 record, and they are on a 9-game losing streak. So kind of taking a look at everything where we stand at this point. We start from the bottom like we always do and make our way up to the top. Pine Bluff is eliminated. They're 1-16, so there's no way that they can catch up with the 10 spots, so they are out. They close out that season on Saturday at home against Alcorn. Bama State is 11 right now. They're 4-13. They trail Valley by 1 game. So it's simple. I'll go ahead and lump Valley in this, and I'll kind of include a couple other teams as I talk about this. But for Bama State, they need to win against Grambling, and Hope Valley loses. Um, Hope Valley loses their game to Jackson State. That would tie both teams at 5 and 13. And Bama State would win that tiebreaker because they have a plus 4-point differential. If they lose, then it's over. If they lose to Grambling, it doesn't matter what Valley does because Bama State will finish 4 and 14, and Valley would either be 6 and 12 or 5 and 13. So first off, Alabama State needs to beat Grambling, and they need Valley to lose to Jackson to have a tie. Otherwise, if Valley wins and they win, they still finish one game out. So number 10 is simple to a degree, but we also still have to look at that three-way tie we have for 7th place, which could impact some other games below them. We'll look at everybody kind of all at once. FAMU right now is in 7th. They're 6 and 11. They play at Bethune-Cookman on Saturday. Prairie View is 6 and 11. They play at home against Texas Southern. And Bethune-Cookman is 6 and 11, and they are at home against FAMU. So for Bethune and FAMU, since they play each other, one of those teams is gonna drop, and one is gonna win, one is gonna lose. If let's say FAMU wins and Prairie View wins, they both are 7 and 11. Then FAMU will get the 7th seed. Prairie View will get the 8th seed because they lost the tiebreaker to FAMU 1 game to none. And Bethune will be 9th at 6 and 12, unless Valley wins. And then if Valley wins, they'll be tied at 6 and 12. But Bethune-Cookman beat Valley, so Bethune-Cookman will be 9th, and then Valley will be 10th. Let's say Bethune wins and Prairie View wins, so that would make Bethune-Cookman that would put Valley at 7. That would put Prairie View at 7. By virtue of them beating Bethune-Cookman 1 game to none. And then Bethune-Cookman will be 8th, FAMU will be 9th, and then Valley will be 10th. If Valley and FAMU finish tied at 9th place, tied at 6 and 12, FAMU beat Valley, so Valley will still be in the 10th spot. So Valley's pretty much locked in that 10th spot. Not a lot of movement for them. They could drop out if Bama State wins, but right now the way Alabama State is playing, I don't think that's going to happen. So right now we have Valley at the 10th spot. You're going to either have FAMU, Prairie View, or Bethune-Cookman at the 7th spot, depending on what those teams do, and then you'll fill in the other 2 spots with those other 2 teams. So right now, I think I would say that it kind of holds steady. Regardless of, I think FAMU is going to win. I think they'll beat Bethune-Cookman, finish 7 and 11, and get the 7th spot. I do think Prairie View is going to lose to Texas Southern, and that'll make them 6 and 12, and then Bethune-Cookman will be 6 and 12. So that I think it'll finish just like it is, 7, 8, 9. Grambling, Alcorn is locked at number 6. They can't move up or down. They're 9 and 8. They 2 games out of 5th place with 1 game left. And they're 3 games ahead of 7th place with 1 game left, so they can't move. So they are the 6th seed. Same thing with Grambling. Grambling is the 5th seed. They locked into that 5th spot. They trail the top. They trail the 3 teams tied for 2nd place. They trail them by 2 games, but they only have 1 game left. And they're 2 games ahead of Alcorn with 1 game left. So they are locked at that 5th spot. That takes us to our final kind of log jam, and that's this tie for 2nd place. Everybody's 13 and 4. Texas Southern 13 and 4. Jackson State 13 and 4. Alabama A&M 13 and 4. Texas Southern, they do have the tiebreaker over both teams, so over the other 2 teams. So if these 3 teams finish in a 3-way tie, TSU will get that number 2 spot, and then Jackson State will get the 3 spot. Alabama A&M will get the 4 spot. If Alabama A&M loses to Southern on Saturday, then they will be 14 and 4. Jackson State beat Valley, they'll be 14 and 4. If Alabama A&M loses to Southern, they'll be 13 and 5. Jackson State beats Valley, they're 14 and 4. Texas Southern beat Prairie View, they're 14 and 4. Texas Southern will still get the 1 seed because they have a plus 12 point differential over Jackson State. The only way either Alabama A&M or Jackson State could get that 2 seed is if Texas Southern loses and drops 13-5 and they win. That's the only way either one of those teams get the 2 seed. But right now it looks like Texas Southern would be the 2 seed. Jackson State 3, Alabama A&M 4. Southern is the regular season champ, so they are the 1 seed. So like I said, there's not a lot left to be done. Just a little bit of shuffling. It's gonna kind of work its way out. Because like in the 7, 8, 9 spots, 2 of those teams play each other, so somebody's gonna have to drop. And then 2, 3, and 4 are gonna kind of work their way out as well. So not that complicated anymore, which is always a good thing. We kind of made it through the doldrums and all the chaos, and it's gonna end pretty calm. Looking at the men's side, there's still again some movement, especially at the bottom. Valley is out. They're 1-16, so they don't have any more hope. They close out at home against Jackson State. Interesting battle for 10th place. Pine Bluff, they host Alcorn at 3-14. They 1 game behind Prairie View at 4-13, who hosts Texas Southern. Let's say the Golden Lions win and the Panthers lose. Golden Lions get in because they would have the better victory over a top seed by the virtue of their victory over Texas Southern. If Pine Bluff loses, it's over. No matter what Prairie View does. So for Pine Bluff, it's simple: win and then hope, win and get hope. Although it's not as much help because I do think Prairie View is not going to beat Texas Southern. But first and foremost, for Pine Bluff, you need to win. If you lose, you're out, and then Prairie View gets in by default. So that's a pretty simple race. Panthers could dead this by beating Texas Southern and finishing 5-13. If they lose, then that opens the door for Pine Bluff to pull off an upset of Alcorn and sneak in at the 10th spot. But right now, I think it's going to be Prairie View at the 10th spot. A&M and Grambling are both locked in at their spots. Alabama A&M is locked in at they're locked in at 9. Even if they finish tied at 7-11, let's say Bama State beats Grambling and Alabama A&M beats Southern, they finish tied at 7-11. Grambling swept Alabama A&M, so they will still get that 8th spot. If Grambling loses and Alabama, that's basically what I'm saying. If Alabama A&M loses and Grambling loses, obviously the Bulldogs be 6-12, Grambling be 7-11. If Grambling wins, it doesn't matter what A&M does because they'll be 8-10. Best the Bulldogs can do is 7-11. So those 2 teams are locked in their spots at 8 and 9. We have our jumble in the middle, 6 and 7. Right now, FAMU and Alcorn. If the Braves beat Pine Bluff, they're 11 and 7. If FAMU loses to Bethune-Cookman, they drop to 10 and 8, so they would be the 6th seed. And then Alcorn would be 11 and 7, and depending on what those 2 teams with 6 losses do, they'll move accordingly. But FAMU, like I said, they can drop to as low as 7. Alcorn, there is a potential for them to jump a little bit, if some things go their way. If they finish, tied at 11 and 7 with Bama State, let's say Grambling beat them, the Braves would actually be the 5th seed, and Alabama State would be 6th seed because Alcorn won that series 1 game to none. If by virtue of upset, Texas Southern loses and all 3 of those teams are 11 and 7, then Texas Southern will get the 4th seed because they are 3-0 against those 2 teams, followed by Alcorn, and then Bama State. So Alcorn looks like they can kind of get up to about 5th. I don't think they can get the 4th. If Texas Southern and Alabama State both win, they're both 12 and 6, and it would still go the same way. Texas Southern would be 4, Bama State 5. And then if Alcorn wins, they'd be 6. FAMU would be 7 if they lost. Not really that much movement there. A slight shuffle. Like I said, Bama State could drop to 6. They could get to 5. They could get to 4 if they win and Texas Southern loses. and Alcorn, you know, it doesn't matter in that case. But right now, Bama State can finish as high as 4. Most likely there'll be 5. Texas Southern can finish as high as 4. I think they could drop to 5th, but I think all those teams are kind of stuck in those spots. FAMU's really the only one I think that can really make a different move, depending on what they do against Bethune-Cookman and then what Pine Bluff does with Valley, because they finished tied at 10-8. FAMU gets that tiebreaker because they swept Alcorn. So that's really the only places that you have to move. Bethune-Cookman is 12-5. They could finish tied with Jackson State if Valley pulled off an upset, but Jackson State swept Bethune-Cookman, so they would still get the 2 spot. Bethune-Cookman can't really drop below 3 because they are 2-0 against Alabama State. They're 1-0 against Texas Southern, and right now they're 1-0 against FAMU, but that doesn't matter because FAMU already has 7 losses. So Bethune-Cookman can't drop below 3rd. If all 3 teams finish 12-6, they'll still be the 3rd seed. So they are locked there. Jackson State locked there 2. Southern locked there 1. Even though Southern had a horrible game last night, but they're still 14-3 and in first place. Regardless of what they do on Saturday, they will be the 1 seed because they won the series against Jackson State 1-0. So, like I said, not that complicated this time, you know. So, like I said, we're going into the final game with not a lot to look at in terms of, you know, who does what and does it where. There's only a couple races that can change. There is a possibility for, you know, the 10 seeds to switch with the 11s on both sides, but there's really not that much movement, only in the middle, and it's only probably going to be slight. I don't think it's going to be a ton of movement. So with that being said, man, I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and rocking with me, man. We got our picks up I got my picks up for Saturday's game, so make sure y'all check those out. And we'll be back on Sunday to start to preview the tournament. And I haven't really figured out how I'm going to cover the tournament, if I'm going to do session by session, or I just do an overall day coverage. I think that's probably what I'm going to do, because the last time I did session by session, by the time I got the championship game, I was burnt out. So I think I'm going to just do each day, you know, recap each day and move on like that. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells, signing out, and I will catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.